You just remember what your old pal said. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. 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 You got troubles and I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We'll stick together and we'll see it through, 'cause you got a friend in me. Oh yeah, you got a friend in me.
Now some of those other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger, stronger too, maybe, but none of them would ever love you the way I do. Just me and you girls.
And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. Oh yeah. You got a friend in me. You know, David, you got a friend in me.
I know, Becky.
I know.
You got a friend in me.
Oh, good. You know, we've known each other for a really long time.
Woo!
I used to pick you up from junior high school, and you'd come out with those great big ears.
Yep. Still got them.
And I'd take you to my mom's house, and you would play the piano for my vocal students.
Yep.
Yep. And you know what? You're still playing the piano for me, aren't you, David?
Yep.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got your troubles, well, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We'll stick together, we can see it through. You got a friend in me. Oh yeah, you got a friend in me.
Now some of those other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger, stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. Just me and you girls.
And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. Oh yeah. You got a friend in me. Come on, sister. You got a friend in me.
What a way to get started. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, there's seats up in the front area. There are a couple seats back here. We are so glad to be packing the house on this Sunday morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all. Have just a few announcements as we begin. First of all, I just want to welcome our friends from Ogden, Ogden UU. Hello, Ogden. So glad you're here. And to all of our friends joining on Zoom, what a world we live in where we can expand our little chapel out to the world. We're so glad that we can do that now. A couple other announcements. First, our religious education program is doing a food drive this week. They're accepting donations through Thursday. So you've just got a few days to contribute. If you head through Elliott Hall after service, and you go to Little Chapel, it's kind of through the fellowship hall on the other side. There's a box, and there's a picture that lists the items that they're looking for. So you can stop by the grocery store this week, come back to the building when Stephanie's here, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and drop off your goodies. We've got a lot so far, but we'd love to have more, so you've got some time. Second, it's been a good week for democracy, wouldn't you say? We got a little ways to go, so don't get too excited. But what I do want to say is that if you haven't had enough democracy to suit you, next Sunday is our congregational meeting. We practice democracy in this congregation, and we have a couple of big decisions that have to be decided by the congregation. One is to add a new member to our search committee. The other is to decide whether to enter into litigation regarding Utah's abortion trigger laws. We want everyone to be here, but if you can't be physically here, you can join on Zoom, you can vote on Zoom, so please participate in our meeting. It starts at 12:15 next week. And finally, Thursday the 24th, Turkey Day, Tofurkey Day, whatever you're eating. If you are eating it, if you usually eat it by yourself or just the two of you in your house, please come to the church. We're going to have a potluck dinner right here in Elliott Hall. It's a potluck, so you got to bring your own goodies, but there will be enough to feed everyone. And if you're a person who's dislocated from family or you want to celebrate with friends, we would love to have you. It's at 1 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day. We're also looking for folks to join our New Caring Network. This is our email list where we send out requests to provide meals for folks who are sick or have been bereaved, to send cards, to give somebody a ride to the doctor. If you can participate in this, then we'd love for you to sign up. We're looking for people who can commit, right? Who won't assume that someone else is going to do it, who will say, I am in, I will do it. So if that's you, then we'd love for you to sign up in Elliott Hall after service. Now, we begin our worship service. We breathe into our bodies and arrive right here, right now. This moment, this place, this community, this Sunday. Our chalice lighting words today are by Rebecca Del Rio. Come new to this day. Remove the rigid overcoat of experience, the notion of knowing, the beliefs that cloud your vision. Leave behind the stories of your life. Spit out the sour taste of unmet expectation. Let the stale scent of what-ifs waft back into the swamp of your useless fears. Arrive curious, without the armor of certainty, the plans and planned results of the life you've imagined. Live the life that chooses you. New every breath, every blink of your astonished eyes. Now I invite you to rise with me in body or in spirit, and let's sing together number 153.
Walking and talking with my
The year I left the Mormon church, my mother tried emailing me a threatening conference talk entitled, "To Whom Shall You Go?" by M. Russell Ballard. I'm afraid she overestimated the power of a boring, shamey talk, being able to convince me to stay. Nevertheless, I was a good sport and read it. Most of what I learned was how crappy, lonely, and unfulfilling LDS folks believed my life would be if I chose to leave the spiritual safety of a living prophet's guidance and Heavenly Father's perfect gospel. As I used my mouse to send my mother's email to the Google trash can, there was a moment that I began to feel a sharp pain of worry. Not for my immortal soul, which I was no longer convinced had a literal existence, but for the answer to the very real question of now what? That was a much harder pill to swallow, because Mormonism had dictated every aspect of my life up to that point. Every morning and night for 30 years, I prayed to the Mormon God in the name of Mormon Jesus. I fasted once a month, I paid my tithing, I went to every church meeting. Begrudgingly, I served in my callings, and I did my visiting teaching. I spent a third of my life knowing all the supposed answers to life's questions. What is your purpose? Easy. Be a teetotaling, coffee avoidant, obedient wife and mother, love Mormon Jesus, and make babies until the day you die. Where do you go when you die? Simple. Spend eternity in the bliss of the celestial kingdom after living a wineless, coffeeless, obedient, Mormon, Jesus-loving, baby-making life. There were some obvious flaws to the answers. Number one being, I am not a woman. I am a trans man and consequently could never be a wife. And number two being, the celestial kingdom sounds like an absolute nightmare. Just imagine countless millennia without an occasional stiff scotch and soda or a warm cup of joe as black as my soul. No, thank you. Once I realized that these were not, in fact, going to be the answers to my life's great questions, I had to discover from scratch what I did have faith in. I tried retaining Christianity because, like Fox Mulder, I wanted to believe. Mormon Jesus wasn't the right fit, but perhaps some other Jesus might do. Disappointingly, as much as I wanted to remain a believer, I could not maintain faith in that beautiful story. The concept of a bearded God in the sky lost the promise of peace it once represented. Furthermore, the idea of the Heavenly Spirit, especially after years of people using it as subjective proof that I should do what they said, also lost its luster. So how was I supposed to make meaning out of life? What could I have faith in? How would I exercise that faith? It started with first encouraging myself to really listen to and meditate on what I call my personal intuition. There might be better names for that, but for me it boils down to my mind and body sometimes processing information and needs before my conscious brain is aware. The interesting fact about heeding this intuition is it's not about being right, divinely predetermined, nor is it a spiritual prompting. It's about listening to what my gut tells me I need, and then my conscious brain, through meditation, deciding whether that thing is actually needful or ethical. I have faith in this process because it's not about pleasing others or an outside source. It's about remaining true and listening to what my heart really needs. The second thing I have faith in is my connection with other people. People, especially loved ones, is where it begins. Feeling their love, care, trust, and empathy makes it easier to recognize the value in others, even when I am not personally acquainted with them. This faith lends itself to compassion, generosity, forgiveness, curiosity, and even redemption. I don't have to know someone deeply to know that they have deep worth. I must say, this journey of discovery is still ongoing, valuable, and precarious. I don't know all the answers anymore. but I do know exactly why and how I believe in my intuitive self and my connection with other people. These are not just feel-good or indiscernible mysteries. I'm grateful to know myself better and to spend my time investing in connection with fellow travelers here at First Unitarian and in other spheres of my life. The results of investing in these new belief systems and all of you are observable and deeply fulfilling in a way that no other concept of theology has ever been, and I look forward to many more years journeying on this path.
Julia, Dot, it's time. Come on in. Y'all know what time it is, right? It's my... Oh, did we lock him in? Never. Hey, welcome. It's my favorite Sunday. It's New Member Sunday. Woo! I love it. It is with joy and enthusiasm that the ministers, the Board of Trustees, and the hospitality team at First Unitarian welcome new members to our congregation today. And you won't know it unless I tell you, but we're adding more than 20 people today between the two services. Yeah. To join a congregation as a new member is a sacred undertaking. Some of us have journeyed through dark valleys to get here. Some of us have sailed smooth seas. Some of us never knew we needed this community until we stumbled across it. And some of us have been searching for this place our whole lives. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever you bring with you today, we welcome it all, and we welcome you. Joining a Unitarian Universalist community does not require assent to a creed, a shared statement of belief about the nature of reality or the requirements of salvation. However, to become a member does require something of us. It requires a commitment to the welfare of the whole community. It requires us to relinquish consumption and embrace cultivation. It requires us to align ourselves with covenant, a deeply countercultural agreement about how we're going to be when we're together. Covenant is an ancient religious practice of promise-making, and it is the central sacred act of our faith. Now, I want to tell y'all a story that some of you who have been with me for a while have already heard, and for some of you it will be new, but it's one of my favorites. In 1976, the Unitarian minister and theologian James Luther Adams named 5 guiding principles for a free faith and related them with a Bible story that many of us know from childhood. In this story, the people face a mighty giant, and they send a boy named David to fight him. The boy, David, is too small to carry a sword or wear armor, so what does he carry? 5 small, smooth stones from the riverbed. Adams describes 5 small, smooth stones that we might carry as Unitarian Universalists to fight the forces of tyranny and oppression and make the world a better place. The first stone is continuous revelation. Religious liberalism depends on the principle that revelation is continuous. Our religious tradition is a living tradition because we're always learning new truths. The second stone is mutuality. All relations between persons ought ideally to rest on mutual, free consent and not on coercion. We freely choose to enter into relationship with one another. The third stone is justice. Religious liberalism affirms the moral obligation to direct one's effort toward the establishment of a just and loving community. It is this which makes the role of the prophet central and indispensable in liberalism. The fourth stone represents agency. We deny the immaculate conception of virtue and affirm the necessity of social incarnation. In other words, good things don't just happen, people make them happen. And the last stone is hope. Liberalism holds that the resources, divine and human, that are available for the achievement of meaningful change justify an attitude of ultimate optimism. The roots of our living tradition have been developed over centuries, but new ideas and understandings are still being revealed. Some stones are smooth and polished, while others are newly found and rough. Today, as we give our new members your own 5 smooth stones, we invite you to become part of this living tradition. Through it, we become whole, and through us, through you, our tradition becomes whole. So now I will invite by name those persons who have put themselves forward to become members of our congregation and sign the book. Susan Allman. And please sign legibly so we know who you are. Oh, those of you who are coming forward, you might want to bring this with you. Okay. But I got one for you. Kent Montgomery. Nope, come right over here. Laura Smith. Dave Duncan. Chip Castleton. Reese Harper. Camille Miner. Hey, there she is. Cynthia Stark. Sarah Stinson. Danielle Puri. and Aaron Puri. Tina Wilmore. Yes, okay. No, you don't have to. And Jerry Wilmore. No, they've already signed. Yeah. And Steve Glazer. They've already signed. So here you go. It's your turn.
What makes us Unitarian Universalists is a practice of covenant, the making of sacred promises that bind us together. Our promises are not eternally binding, like those our religious ancestors might have made. Rather, they must be remade again and again and returned to when there is conflict or confusion among us. Let us read together our congregational covenant, with our new members joining us in this covenant for the first time, and our current members recommitting themselves to it.
Just gonna stretch out loud here for a second. Get everybody out in front.
All right, everybody ready? The church shall be a fellowship of individuals with free minds, having for its objective the study and practice of liberal religion, including the principles propounded by the Unitarian Universalist Association, the development of a more meaningful life for each of its members and friends, and the building of a better community and world. Love shall be the spirit of this church, with service to one another and the larger community its greatest concern. The members and friends of the church do hereby covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in all things, and to help one another.
Thank you, Dot. Dot Verbrugge is the president of the Board of Trustees, by the way. New members, feel free to have a seat. Hospitality team. I just want to give a shout out to our hospitality team who helps to make this beautiful ceremony happen. Jan Crane bought cake, and there's enough for everyone. We want you all to have cake if you are able to have it. Thanks to Julia Kleinschmidt for handing out the bags, to Adrienne Splinter and her son for helping put them together. Our hospitality team can use some new members, so if welcoming new people to our church is a passion of yours, we invite you to join this team. Finally, if you have been thinking about becoming a member of our church, there will be another opportunity before the end of this year. We strongly encourage new folks to take our new member class so you know what you're getting into, right? And if you'd like to meet some other newer folks right now, I facilitate 2 small groups just for inquirers to our church. And it's a great way to get to know people, to get a taste of what Unitarian Universalism is about. So please email me. Once again, welcome to our new members.
yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, 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 yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, 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 yeah, yeah. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You know you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you.
It might be better the second time through. It's awesome. I'm Philip Moos, and I'm a steward of this church because I believe that this is an institution of possibilities where we each can work towards self-actualization. It seems like many of our institutions are struggling right now, but I believe that this is an institution that we can collectively shape into something that we envision, and therefore it is an institution worth supporting. Of course, all institutions are human constructs, but this community is remarkable in that it is full of thoughtful people who desire to bend the arc of the moral universe towards justice. This is an institution of intellectual and spiritual stimulation for all ages. This is a place where it is actually perfectly normal to have the book, It's Perfectly Normal, to help educate our youth instead of trying to ban it. For me, another book that has influenced my thinking about human constructs is Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. In this book, Yuval Noah Harari writes, "We study history not to know the future, but to widen our horizons, to understand that our present situation is neither natural nor inevitable, and that we consequently have many more possibilities before us than we imagine." This quote resonates with me in terms of thinking about and supporting the future of First Church. Before coming to Utah, Nancy and I had found People's Church, a Unitarian community in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Fred Campbell was the interim minister when we were there. One main theme that Fred talked about was that Unitarianism provides two things for individuals. First, freedom from something. So for me, maybe that was the dogma of Catholicism. But probably more importantly, Fred pressed the congregation to focus on the second question: what does UUism provide the freedom to be? In other words, it is usually easier to say what you are not, and the real challenge is to figure out what you want to be. I like this framework, and as we move through our own search for a new senior minister and think about the future of our church, I think it is an important question we can ask ourselves and work as a community to create an answer. But we should recognize that there may be many more possibilities than we imagine. The offering will now gratefully be received.
So some of you already know that I was away for about 10 days this last week. I went to Poland with Don Walton to do a meditation retreat at Auschwitz. Yeah, that's the right response. People are like, hey, how was it? And I'm like, I have no idea how to answer that question. It was what it was. I'm not preaching about that today. I really actually, it's only been 7 days. I still actually don't know what to say about it, other than it was overwhelming. But he and I will be preaching together about that experience on December 4th. So, why am I telling you? It's good. Thank you, Becky, for setting me up. It's two reasons. One, who went to the Beyond Categorical Thinking training yesterday? Got a couple, three right up here, a few more here. This is a training that is designed to help us get ready for the next senior minister. And the people who just raised their hands were charged in the training to actually talk to you about what went on. So I really invite you to talk to them. But I wanted to take just a few moments to talk about study leave and professional expenses. This is the interim part of the service. So if you came and you're like, I want to hear a good sermon. Also, there's another thing going on. And it won't go on long, but it's important for me to sort of share a little bit about study leave and professional expenses because of your search process right now. You'll be writing contracts, you'll be writing budgets, and things that sometimes sound inconsequential, like study leave and professional expenses, are often looked at as places to cut when you're trying to balance a budget. And it's hard to see how those things are directly connected to or impact the message, the leadership, the personal development of the staff. Every one of our staff members now has professional development expenses. And sometimes it looks like a vacation, right? But it's not vacation. Meditating on a sorting platform in Auschwitz is definitely not a vacation. But that's not the only type of thing that we do. It's like there is this religious training that we do, that helps us cultivate the message that we're able to share from here. And it's really important to invest in the religious development and training of your minister because we go dry. Right? We go dry. It's hard. You might be more creative than me, but week after week, like coming up with new ideas is really hard. And if we're not constantly learning, we go dry. All of this to say, when you're looking at budgets and contracts, you'll understand why those line items are there and why it's important to invest in a good message, right? The second reason is I think you should do trips like this together. Even though I'm not preaching on it directly, I think you should go. I think you should do things like this. I tried to get a few more people to come with me. In the end, only Don was actually, I guess, crazy enough to be like, wait, is Don here? Maybe he's online. But I think it would be really good for you as a congregation, right, to witness together. It doesn't have to be Auschwitz, right? In January and in February, we're going to be going out, and some of us are going to be spending the night, and more on, what's that? Literally today is the day that I can't make it through service without help from you. We picked Lean On Me, and it's like, it's coming up. Lean On Me is the hymn that's coming up, and I literally am like living that song today because I cannot do it. Antelope Island, Great Salt Lake, right? So we're going to be spending the night, and what would it be like? Think about it, like what it would be like, not as an individual to go out there and witness, but to witness as a community, as something that we do together. And there are other opportunities. As Zen Peacemaker, they do one on the Lakota reservation in South Dakota, also Alabama. There's any number of opportunities to witness. But what I'm really talking about is doing it as a congregation and seeking it out as a religious experience, as a community, not as an individual seeking a spiritual experience. Religion comes from the word religare, which is Latin for rebind or bind together, which has an intention, like a different way of being than spirituality. And I say this because the phrase, I'm spiritual but not religious, has become popular. Often in our community, right? I'm spiritual but not religious. And that's okay. But there are a couple of ideas that are embedded in the I'm spiritual but not religious perspective that often give me pause. And it's not that I don't understand, right? The word religion, like the word God, has become fixed for many people to a certain set of values that no longer make sense in our world. Values like absolute certainty, exclusivity, fundamentalism, guilt, empire, bigotry, economic, emotional, and spiritual manipulation, sexual exploitation, homophobia, white supremacy, patriarchy. The list goes on. Some of you are probably like, he forgot this one. You could add your own. Additionally, religions often appear to be more concerned with preserving their legacies, properties, and institutions, more concerned with it than actually helping people learn how to love one another and to stand up to oppressive structures. I just heard this story that really kind of hurt my heart because I want to be cautious when I say this because it's really not about, we're good, they're bad. But I heard a story about a local denomination that when they found out evidence, and when a bishop has found out evidence of sexual abuse, they have a phone number to call. But that phone number actually connects them to a law office. so that they can mitigate the legal issues. It doesn't connect them to this is how you pastorally serve that person who's been abused. And it like hit me almost in the throat. I was like, oh. Preserving legacies, property, institutions. This is why we distrust very often. And before I get too finger pointy, though, right, I include Unitarian Universalist congregations, not for that same reason, but there's an institutional conservatism that happens here as well, right? The number of emails that I've received over the course of my career telling me that what is and isn't appropriate for UUism is high. It's a high number. Right? As someone who's raised UU and went to seminary for it, they're like, not that. And I'm like, I think that's included too. But there is a lot of gatekeeping that we can do, and sometimes it's pretty aggressive, right? We say that we're non-creedal, but sometimes these gatekeeping emails are incredibly creedal, proof tests of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. The music today is awesome. You guys are better, though. And it's not like I don't understand that, too, right? Some people are very concerned when they hear certain words. God. The G word. Because they think I'm trying to convert them to something and that they don't want to be converted to. I don't want to convert you at all. And partly because there is a lot of unmanaged and unaddressed spiritual trauma in our communities. And we've not been very intentional about addressing how we were raised religiously. Often we're like, oh, that was in the past, let's stuff it down. We're new people now. But I think we would do very well to work through some of that stuff. My guess is that if a survey were taken on why people have issues with religion, the word hypocrisy would be very close to the top, right? Maybe pushed out of number one only by shame. But hypocrisy is a word that we throw around, right? But the impact of hypocrisy, I think, is more damaging than we actually often give credit to. When you say one thing and then your actions show that you're not actually in support of that, or they are the exact opposite of what you've been saying, is actually quite damaging, more damaging than just the loss of faith or trust that people experience. What gets damaged is your gift. It's your gift. It is this preciousness in you. So I believe God, this creative force in the universe, this binding thing, moves through us all. There is a movement, a gesture that is growing within each of us, waiting to be expressed. I call it the gift because it is an offering that is waiting to be shared, and it must be shared. The gesture is your most authentic self. It is what the world is waiting to hear and see and experience from you. It is your gift, and it is precious. It is precious. And when we are violated by religion, many of us, as many of us have been, it is our most authentic self that has been violated. Our preciousness has been violated. Our gift has been violated and silenced. Hypocrisy is a mental construct. People don't do what they say. But the violation that we feel when hypocrisy occurs is that our voice, the sacredness of our life that is moving within us and seeking to come out, gets injured. And for some, it's a mauling. Right? The gift that we know that we have is crushed, and sometimes a little, and sometimes a lot. Right? Crush people some, and they will stop trusting you. Crush people a lot, and they will start hating you. The religions of the world have held up virtues and ideals like beauty, grace, forgiveness, and love. And they've held them up in front of us, and there's talk of paradise and liberation and freedom, and they've asked us to strive, and I think we really want to do that. We really do want to strive for these things. They are gorgeous. Beauty, grace, forgiveness, love. This is beautiful. And we want to strive for it. And then we watch the same religions fail over and over again, sometimes for the basest of reasons, and each time that happens, we get hurt, right? Even when it's not our tradition, even when we see people we're not related to, or maybe we've never met them, maybe we've only heard about them on TV, right? Being promised an idea only to have it used against them. And we all grow a little harder, a little more cynical. But the sacred gesture moving within us, our gift to the world, never stops calling out. It never stops growing. It never stops flowing. Creation is a continuous flow. God never stops stirring within the souls, looking for expression in the world. This is why we say that we're spiritual, even if we're not religious, because the stirring is real. We can feel it. We cannot turn God off any more than we can tell this tree to not grow new leaves or the sun to stop shining on us. It's a force that moves regardless of our desire, which can be frustrating because, often we'd like to do something other than what we've been called to do. In many ways, this is why I love the story about Jonah. It is like 4 pages long, and it is my life all written short, right? God asked Jonah to go tell the people of Nineveh about the religious life, and he hops on a boat and goes the other way. He literally goes, no. Goes the other way. So many of us are like this. I am like this. Leaning into and trusting the religious life is quite a commitment. We all have fear. And as strange as it may sound, given what I've decided to do with my life, I often want to run away. I've quit the ministry 3 or 4 times. For real. I quit it after my internship. I quit it after the church I planted failed. I quit it right after seminary. I was like, no. And I don't think it's actually all that uncommon for ministers, right? I don't just speak for myself. And some of this is it's easier for us to just get caught up into committees and answering emails and other administrative tasks rather than going out and being vulnerable, showing who I am, the tenderness of me, the preciousness of me, with my religious community. It's intimidating and a little bit, cautious. We're just as scared of getting hurt as you are. We doubt just as much as other people. We feel the fear, even when we're asking people to pray when they feel fear. There's a rising number of ministers who profess spiritual but not religious, even when they are serving institutions. Because sometimes we feel caught in traditions that we no longer fully agree with, but we don't know where else to go. But what concerns me most about the spiritual but not religious movement is that I'm not really sure it means anything. We say it because we can't deny that there's something stirring within us. that there's something creative about this life that we experience that's really all around us. But when pushed, people often give some sort of half-baked interpretation of what that means to them. Increasingly, you also hear this sort of appeal to the ancient ways or the indigenous truth that we've lost along the way. And we hear things like, modern science is coming to understand what native people have known for a long time. And I really think that's mostly projection. But it's quite invasive. Not long ago, I watched a video, one that I really enjoyed, from a person who I really enjoy. And getting right to the end, he was getting to his point, and he appealed to the authority of the lost ways of nameless people. Like so many people in this spiritual but not religious camp, right? And I think that intuitively there is this habit that recognizes that without a tradition of established practices, without a congregation, without a binding together that we have come to agree on a certain set of understandings, right? What makes people, these spiritual claims, there's an authority problem, right? I could literally tell you anything. And if it's only me who's saying it, you might believe it because it resonates with you. Or you might reject it because it's only based on my experience and that's just not enough for you to assume that it's true. But when I claim this is from the ancient ways, right? What I'm doing is I'm claiming authority, right? I appeal to a set of values that give what I'm saying some weight. And spiritual but not religious lacks this authority, so we create authorities to justify our claims. But I'm not really so sure that the good old days were all that good. I don't think that. In fact, the better days of humanity may be ahead of us. In fact, I hope they are, because the good old days were Jim Crow, and women not voting, and slavery, genocide. So maybe the good new days are what we need to be thinking about. That said, it does not take much effort to look around and say, we've got a problem with the way that we're living, and it would behoove us to find the new way of living together. But the spiritual but not religious perspective is lacking a path because it's too shallow, even if we mask it with writings that sound profound. Perhaps we all have our own favorite quotes or passages that lay claim to value systems. We see these on our Facebook feeds, inspiring words up on dorm room walls. Sometimes people mark their bodies with messages that they want to remember, messages they want to live their lives by. And I don't disparage these things. I think it indicates our aspiration, affirmation of that there is something moving in us that we want to be, that we want to become. But the spiritual but not religious, it doesn't offer a real path to follow to help us achieve these aspirations. They end up becoming somewhat hollow because we don't know where to go or how to get to the aspirations. It's like me saying, I want to be an astronaut, and then sitting at home and watching Cosmos. It doesn't get me there. Healing, transformation, salvation. And I don't use those words in an ethereal sense. I use them in an ecological sense. Healing, transformation, salvation is about finding the values that sustain us as communities and then living into them together. The trouble with so much of the spiritual but not religious is that it has become a leisure pursuit that we pick up and we put down what we like. We pick up or put down what's convenient. We mix and match so that we don't actually have to wrestle with the things that we don't like. Liberal religion is notorious for not knowing how to deal with evil. So we just don't. We're like, oh, everybody's got worth and dignity. Hitler. had worth and dignity. Well, he was also evil. We have to find a way to talk about evil. It's for real. When we're able to pick what we want to choose because it makes us comfortable, or we leave out ideas that make us uncomfortable, or we frame issues like forgiveness as benevolent and elevated acts without actually asking us to find our role in the wounds, we do it a disservice. We do the spiritual journey a disservice. We skip from Thich Nhat Hanh to Marianne Williamson to Brene Brown, but we find we're still facing the same unhappiness and the same sense of feeling overwhelmed, because the main problem with spiritual but not religious is that it is all about us as individuals, and that causes isolation. The larger questions, like how can we live together as people, have collapsed into I want peace of mind, which really trivializes what we're experiencing as a community. Yeah, I want peace of mind also. But I really worry that the self-development movement might actually reinforce selfishness and individualism. Perhaps spiritual but not religious is a reflection or a product of consumer culture. Perhaps it is co-creator with that culture that is driving us towards an ever more isolated identity. Because it's hard to belong to people. It's hard to be claimed by people. Because people are tricky. Y'all are tricky. I'm super not tricky. It's not hard to be claimed by me. No, I'm tricky too. Right? I'm tricky, we're all tricky. Because we're insecure and we got fear. On the surface, wanting to become a better person sounds admirable, but it can also become an obsession where the malady that we face in the world is about me rather than about us. And the solution is not going to be found in me. Now, I had a little impromptu moment in the first service because when I came in this morning, people were like, "How are you, Ian? Hey, how are you?" And I was in a grumpy, holy smokes, grumpy mood. And it's funny, actually, someone came up to me and was like, "Oh, you got the stank on you." I was like, yes, that was exactly how I felt. I was like, I don't like anything. All the stars are wrong. I don't like green. Like everything was wrong, you know? And I was so mad. I was just mad. And then these 5 people sang to me. I mean all of us. But I was here, and they sang to me, and they healed me. I could not get out of the stank myself. In fact, I was like reveling in it. I was like, and they're wrong, and they're wrong. And all I could see was wrong. And I loved it, honestly. Whew. Sometimes it's addictive, right? Sometimes it's so addictive to be like, they are wrong. And then they sang to me, and you transformed my whole day. So thank you. I'm feeling, I was in a tough place. That's what it means to be claimed by people. I couldn't fix it myself. You fixed me. We are facing some changing times, right? The effects of the isolated self are coming home to roost. We can no longer plunder the earth with impunity. We have come to understand that we are a nested, complex organism that is being thrown out of whack because we thought that we were individual actors and it didn't impact the collective world. The coming collapse of the environment is asking us to really take our collective identity seriously. The shift that we are being asked to make in our understanding of ourselves is not one that amplifies the isolated individual, the rampant self-improving person, but rather healing the body that we belong to, the being that we belong to. Healing the larger body will also heal us, but we need a spiritual practice that has depth, that holds us accountable, that supports us in giving our gift to the world. That allows us to practice transformation that we can only experience as a group of people rather than as individuals. It's a religion repudiates isolation. In its best form, it repudiates it. Now, I don't want to speak for everybody, but my guess is that many of us, if not most, if not all, of us would feel okay maybe going to some sort of gathering that says, I'm a spiritual being, and I believe there's something spiritual about life. And I feel comfortable saying that many, if not most, if not all, of us would feel less comfortable, more discomfort, saying at the same gathering, I do what I do in my life because I'm listening to God, the creative force of the cosmos. And I'm listening for what it's asking of me, right? And God is asking for me to bring forth my gift so that we can heal the world. And that I've made a commitment to this group of people, and I support them, and they support me, and together we believe that we can bring about the more beautiful world that we know is possible. That we know is possible. There is a peculiar courage that's required of us to say this to a people, to say it to yourselves, to say it to myself, that I'm not just a spiritual person, but I am also a religious person that belongs to you, that is claimed by you. In the sense that together we've decided to give expression to God as part of a community, that we are giving expression to God as a body of believers who know that we have not seen paradise yet, that the good old days were maybe not that good, and that the future is there, that there is a more beautiful world that lives in our heart, and we know that we're able to do something about it. Our imagination is limitless. This is not impossible. Our creativity, when acted on together, is able to produce changes not only in us, but in the world that will bring an expression to life that has never been seen before. It is a peculiar courage to say that I want this for the world and that I can be part of a transformation because as part of my spiritual commitment, I give myself to you. The greater body is struggling to come to consciousness, right? We feel it emerging all around us. I believe it is happening in an entirely new way, not something that is a rediscovery of the ancient ways. Today, I am being made a better man by people in South Africa and people in Burma. I have a better understanding of life by movements in Bolivia and Iran. So often we hear stories of people who've made dramatic changes in their lives when they faced a particular trauma. Cancer, a lost child, a career that has crashed and forced them to examine what's really important in their lives and to choose to live those values that once appeared as a quote at the bottom of an email, but actually led them into life. Making a change in this world, making a change in our lives and in the lives of others is more than just a duty or a responsibility, right? Our teams here don't need help. They don't need you to sign up to help them. It's an opportunity for you to help make a better world. Transformation is not about obligation. There is a peculiar courage that is required to live as a religious person in this world. There is joy. It is a blessing. It is your blessing for the world. It is your gift. It is your opportunity to help the world sing and dance and praise and share gratitude for all that we have been given. It is your opportunity to heal people like me and to make our lives mean something. If you'll take a moment, just look at the people who are sharing the pew with you. So you can just look at them. Yeah? These people can help you. They can help you if you let them help you. I don't want to help. I know. It means I have to be vulnerable to let you help me. I'd rather throw up. Each of us has found ourselves here because there's been a calling from creation that has asked you to share your preciousness with the world. Right? It takes courage to make this happen in community. When we have people to help us, to talk about how the Spirit can move through us as a body. Let us go witness in the world, not as individuals seeking a unique spiritual experience, but as people bound together by our witnessing. And let us address the spiritual trauma in our community so that when we witness, we can use that trauma to change the lives of others who are hurting, who need a healing word from us. You can do that. Coming to church should be so much more than building community. It is a blessing that helps us recover our gift and then share it with a world that desperately needs gifts. It is a sacred gesture. Let us go live religiously as people bound together by the desire to witness to and heal this world. Amen. Oh, we're singing. I sort of told you it was coming. Lean on me. Which one is it? 10 what? 10:20. Yeah, sing to me again. I need all the help. 10:21. It's in the teal one. And at the very end, could we do Lean On Me one last time after the thing? We'll do it come back to it.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. If we are one, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll
source of life. God, my darling, inspire us to see the worth and the dignity of these people who stood up before us today and said, I want to belong to you. I want to belong to you, and I want you to belong to me. So that we might show them our worth and dignity. The vulnerability that makes us precious humans. And awaken us to that interdependence that binds us all together, that space beyond birth and death, the ever-flowing creation from which we arise, the presence. And fill us with grace so that we might find that courage, that particular and peculiar courage to say, I am yours and you are mine. And together we will lean on each other and nurture this world into love and healing. Amen.
Desert with no shoes upon my feet, share with you the last bite bread I had to eat. I would swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly every heart would understand that love and only love can join the tribes of man. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see the first steps to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? When we stand together, it's our finest hour. think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Outstanding. Outstanding. All right? Kathleen Wilson, Rebecca Heel, Becky Heel, Nikki Blackburn, Jim Thornburg, David Owens, Tristan, thank you. Everyone wave to the church in Ogden. Hey, Ogden, we love being with you. Monica, of course, our ushers, everybody, thank you so much. You make this happen. Truly. We make it happen together. So, join us for coffee. Come on out. We'd love to hear it. All right. Thank you so much for coming.